Thokozani tindlini, thokozani emakhaya. Siyandvusela, siyacabakusha, klabacabakushako. Siyandvusela bomakhosi, siyandvusela tindlondlo. Sivusela bonke labafundzako nathi, sivusela bonke labatfola lwati kule platform. Siyandvusela nonke tindlini tenu. Siyabonga for tuning in again. I am switching to English now. I have done my Siswati. We have today, we promised that we were going to have Mkhulu Ben Themba Silindza come back to finish off the topic that we had started on, or the lesson that we had started with him on Ukuthwasa. He had a whole lot to share. We may also not be able to finish again today, but we will cover as much as we can. We ended up on lesson 2, we ended up speaking on Ukuthwasa. That was the topic that we closed with, and we have gotten a lot of questions with regards to Ukuthwasa and what it entails, and people just wanting to know a bit more about the process. Thokoza Mkhulu.
Hey, Thokoza.
I was saying, Mkhulu, that I was just giving a briefing on where we ended up, where we ended off in lesson 2 with you, and where we are going to start off, and that we are going to try to address as many of the questions that we got on the YouTube channel based on this lesson. In this lesson, we ended off on speaking on Ukuthwasa and what the process is and what it entails and why it is important to go through it before you actually embark on your journey of initiation. And yes, let me just leave it to them, Mkhulu. I think that's where we can start. I'd like for you to start there. But go back to why it is important and how it informs your initiation journey going forward. So what's okay?
Nama ngikhuleke kakhulu kumakhosi amakhulu amandawe, ngikhuleke kakhulu kumakhosi etinzuza, ngikhuleke kumakhosi abanguni etindzaweni tonke. Ngithi hayi makhosi amakhulu, ngithi ndawuwe shewe angiwamukele lamakhosi ngoba kukho lokukhulu lesingakwenda nalokungachubekela phambili ngaphandle kwawo. Njengoba sasikhuluma ngalendzaba lena Ukuthwasa nekubaluleka kwayo umuntu angakayi ephehlweni. Uma ngabe vele uya kumuntu lo watiko kahle umsebenzi wakhe angakakufake ephehlweni, uyakuthemba kucala atokukhona kuthola imphamba yakho, which means you will undergo the process Ukuthwasa before uba initiated, so that ayothola imphamba yakho. You know, unfortunately, I've said some words to put them in English because that's where they are. I don't know exactly how could I put impamba. But impamba is the one that gives the direction of the things you need to do before you go ephehlweni. Because what it will entail it. Kumele kuqala ihlukanise emadloti akho ukuthi la madloti lonawo wena abuyaphi, abuya ekhabo babe, or they come from the mother's side or the father's side, and who in the father's side was using the same spirit when you are going to use, and who in the mother's side was using the same spirit when you are going to use it. So it's very important to check those things must be checked first, so that they know, okay, you have got umdawe, you have got umguni, you have got inzuza, you have got abalozi, so that they can see exactly what type of spirit you have. Because see, at other stage you find that you might have inzuza, umdawe, whatsoever, but you find that within you there is another spirit that is not correct, it needs to be removed, or you need to be cleansed of that spirit. Like for example, you might find kuti gunengwenze that must be attended to, which is another certain spirit. You might find which there is a umdliwa or umfugwa, and you cannot go to your twasa with umfugwa still with you. And I've seen people going for initiation, but within their family there's still umfugwa, and the umfugwa has never been detached from them, because that spirit must be detached. Because if you go for initiation with such a spirit, definitely when you come back, you won't heal anyone. You won't work at all, because that spirit must be removed from you. And that's why if you go with such spirit, when you come back from a person, things will be even worse. Worse, you will even regret, why did you go to a person in the first place? Because things will be even worse. See, so that's another thing. So, and then the other things, we check out your ancestors, have they been cleansed in the father's side, especially or the mother's side? Have they been cleansed? Because you know, these days, people, when they die, we don't cleanse them. Sometimes Nazi, as people, we don't cleanse ourselves, because when death comes into a family, that family must be cleansed. Any person who gets in touch with a dead body needs to be cleansed. Once you are in touch next to a close dead body, you need to undergo some certain cleansing. And then now you find that death has happened in the family and we don't cleanse, which is common now to families. They just go and take someone and go and bury. After the burial, then life carries on. The next thing that they will do, it will be tombstone. Then that's all. They won't cleanse themselves. And then secondly, the person who died must be cleansed, because death has happened to that person. The spirit of the person is not cleansed, because a person does not become an ancestor just immediately the person died. You cannot just invoke a person who has just immediately died. And before you could invoke the person must be cleansed. You know, this thing, it happens even among the Catholics. Catholics, they will tell you that there is what they call benediction, sanctification, that the person must be sanctified. And then once the process they have done, the Catholics, they now declare the person as a saint. They say the person has been sanctified, now the person is declared a saint. Then they will tell you that because now the person has been declared a saint, now you can invoke the person. Because you can't invoke someone that has not been cleansed. So now, if now maybe kumele ngiyothwasa and ngithatha leli dlozi leli from umkhulu wami or ugogo wami, I must make sure that gogo was cleansed. You see, and during Kufemba, they will see at most instances if those people were not cleansed. And then you will be told, when you're talking of Impamba, you will be told what you need to do at your mother's side. You will be told even what Emahiya and ceremony, what type of ceremony that must be done at your mother's side before you left for Ukuthwasa. You will be told what type of ceremony needs to be done at the father's side before you left for Ukuthwasa, because that journey, you definitely need a family. It's a pity because some people are born from the so-called born-again people who will say we don't believe in such things. So, but a person who go for initiation will definitely need a support from a family. So we definitely need a support that we must. So when you're talking of Impamba, it's something that would enlighten you of everything that must be done, or the cleansing, or anything that needs to be done before you go for initiation. Because if you go for initiation while some people are not cleansed, definitely you will come back and say ukobela ungvalile. When you come back, you will say ukobela ungvalile, because it's gonna be dark. Nothing will work. You see, because at the end of the day, you will become a what I normally call a trophy sangoma or a trophy inyanga. Because now we are most full of trophy sangoma and trophy nyanga. Just that the person what pass, they want to trophy something in your place just to shine. What was? But the person cannot do anything to fulfill exactly for the calling that the person has been called for, because you definitely need to go for Ufemba so that they will clarify your spirit, so that you will be cleansed, that you will know exactly what to do and what to take and what are you going to supposed ceremonies to perform before you go for initiation, you see. So the other thing, after all, it's that is also important is that you know, once you understand that now you have got a calling, it's very important that you start, you know, because this is a calling. That's one thing we must understand. You know, there's a process, a person in the batch corner. I don't know if people it rings a bell. What do they mean when they say imvuma kufa? You see, it's like you are going to die. You know, in Christianity, they're talking of someone being born again, dying to the old life, and being born in a newness of life, which means a person is expected to convert into a new type of lifestyle. So once now you are calling, you must definitely know that now you have to transit from one life into another life. That's why we are talking of imvuma kufa, because you are going to transit now, which means you agree that now I'm dead to the past life. Now I'm going to start a new life. You can hear people that no, it doesn't mean that now I'm a sangoma. It means I have to change. I must not do A, B, C, D. No, once you're a sangoma, you are going to change. I'm telling you, whether you like it or you like it not, unless if you don't have lidlozi. Because see, once now you have got lidlozi, it's no longer you who lives, but it is the lidlozi that lives in you, that controls your life, that tells you what to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do. And if you don't listen and obey your idlozi lakho, nothing will work for you at the end of the day. You will even solo kobela with no, it didn't do a good job on you because you are disobedient to idlozi lakho. Because once now what was imvuma kufa, we are talking of a total transition from one state of life into another state of life, which means now your life will be totally different. There are things that you love with all your heart that you may find that you can no longer eat, you can no longer do, you can no longer associate yourself with such things just for the sake of your calling. You know, that's why people, those who are in Christianity, they will understand very well where in their scripture they say, whatsoever was gained to me, I consider it rubbish just for the sake of the gospel. So it's the same even here. There are things that to you were of value, that you like, you appreciate it, you love so much, but because of the spirit in you, you have to consider those things in vain, and you have to forget about those things because now you are transitioning from a new life. So that's why then you know now that you have to feed your spirit. The spirit must eat. The spirit must eat. Because if the spirit doesn't eat, it doesn't feed your spirit, you cleanse yourself regularly. That's why umuntu nje osira inyanga nje ihlale ayina hlambo, ayina gobongo, ayina dumane, ayina sifutho sebunyanga, ayina maphakama. Mara inyanga leyo ifuna kuba serious. You're like, you know, you don't have that 5 set. Because that set, it's your spirit. It's the one that uplifts your spiritual life so that your spirit will always, because just as you feed yourself every day, your spirit also must be fed. Same as this. So it's very important that person go for Ufemba so that they will get what we call it impamba. They get a direction and they will understand clearly the things that they need to do before they continue with their journey, because this is a journey and it's an endless journey, because Ukuthwasa awuqedi, it's an endless journey at the end of the day. It's not meant to now we are passionate. It means now we are done. Everything's a degree, and no, it's an endless journey that we have taken. Yeah.
Tokoza, yeah, that was a mouthful. But that is so true. I want to come back to your point, Yobuti, your life changes. Or if you have a calling. Even before. I think when you know, I'm just coming back to last week's or the other week's lesson where you said, where you mentioned that the loti itself has to be mature before you twasa. When the loti has actually matured in you, there'll be a whole lot of things that are already falling off, like in the things that you eat. Suddenly, things that you used to like. I'm just going back to the period in my life where I literally lived on emahewu. It was the only thing that I could eat in the space that I lived in, that I was able to take and be able to stomach. So even before I had lost so much weight because of what I was going through. Because now I had no relationship with the Lidlo, no developed relationship with the Lidlo that is now mature, that is now wanting to be twasad. But it is there. I don't know what to do. But it's now taking over, or it's become so mature. It's become the thing that is now that's taken over my physical body. So suddenly I can't eat the things that I used to be able to eat. I find that my diet is so limited. But also I want to go back while we're speaking about that. Okay, we're talking about the loti maturing, but the signs of empana ekaya lone lidloti. I think as parents we should be able to say that there is something about this child. You may not have, even as a Christian parent, there are things that will show when it comes to the time that it's time for this person to twasa, that you will be able to point out, my child has always been different. My child has never liked shoes, for instance. She was the child that just lost her shoes all the time. My child struggled with getting on with others, for instance. My child struggled unnecessarily with school when things could have been easy for her. One comes out to a struggle. And you find it starts off brilliantly at school, and then things change. And that is where I think it should come in. If you're a parent and you are aware of the gifts that are in your lineage, that is when you should now then be looking at, even as a Christian or as a person that does not practice African spirituality, that is when it would then help to go hlola. Now my child is now suddenly struggling with these things because the things that they were able to do, because it's not all the time that it's not everything that the Western doctors are able to sort out. You can get a psychologist for your child, and your child will go through all sorts of interventions, and those interventions do not work because that is not actually what is required. So you're taking your child to the wrong spaces for the ailment lanayo, which is lelidloti. I'm just going back to the maturity of the loti and how it matures at different stages in people. Some people you can see at a very young age. At 14, some people are ready to twasa, or the loti is already doing its work. So what's that?
Yeah, so ngithi kancane la ngene la Ukuthwasa has got no side effects at all. In fact, it cleanses a person. Ukuthwasa on its own, it's a cleansing. Sometimes nasikhuluma ngako, I would talk maybe to inyanga lefembako. Ngithi kuye kuna someone lofuna umshanyelo. Lekumele angene emshanyelweni. Nasithi akangene emshanyelweni, whenever we talk, sisho ukuthi kumele ayoshanyelwa, because it's like kona it's so namba kushanga lelishoba lelemuntu kuyaklenza. Uyabona, there is no best way you keep ema evil spirit better than that one. Uma ngabe umuntu possessed, by evil spirit. One of the thing above kumshunqisela nekumfutha, it will be kumfemba, to deal with evil spirit le umuntu. So kufemba has got no side effects at all. Kunaloko it has always the positive effect. Yeah. Coming to this one, umuntu it's born with the spirit. Lidlozi it's born with it, unless na lokunye lidlozi na ungazalanga nako lokunye sekuthwala lokho. Le thola ukuthi awuzalanga nawo sekuthwala kusasiko kulithwasela. Sekuthwala because uma ngabe ma parents akho they are spiritually connected, they will definitely see ukuthi this child une calling. Kumele lo mntwana lona ayothwasa. But awusheshe bakubone lokho if they are spiritually connected, and then kuyoba ngibo ke labatawuthatha the initiative yekuthi bamthathe lo mntwana bamthathe bayomisa bayomfemba afenje umntwana ahlolwe kutholakale kahle yonke lento leyo, and kuyoba ngibatali bakhe labatawuhamba phambili even nekuthi lo mntwana lona uya ephehlweni kanjani uyongena kanjani, and bayokhona nokumdefenda kulaba laba inducer ngoba kunalabantu laba inducer ema dreams. Bayathi labantu njengamanje ngemhlanje bakhona balele bayathi ukuthi kunalaba inducer ema dreams uthi ungayakuye akhona kwenda ukuthi umphuphe ugobela kwekuthi kumele uyothwasa kuye, ene uthi na ufika uthola ukuthi lo muntu akanayo lempande lempande lefuneka la kuwe akanayo lempande, but yena ukhona ukuinducer kwekuthi wena uhambe uyothwasa kuwe ngoba uyabona. I think we must be honest. Into nangabe ungayati and ungayati, just be plain. It's a mina ngiyazi lento and leli dloti leli angilati. Uyabo. Then kunokuthi athathele abantu imali yabo, wathi ubathwasise nje into engekho. Umuntu azafike ekuthwaseni azayoqeda uthi uyambuta bakushayela yini. La bhoboka idlozi alizanga idlozi la bhoboka aze umuntu ayoqeda iprocess. I've met people baqede ama process ekuthwasa idlozi azange la bhoboka, but now how ngoba nangabe wena ezegobela you listen to leli dlozi lalo muntu ukuthi lifuna ini, kufana nale kwekuthi ligama lemuntu kwekuthi ligama lakhe uyoba ngibani ligama lakhe lasedlozini. Yabona ungazubheka nje manje it's become more funny because la magama lawa asahamba ngempande ukuthi impande yakazibani sesiyathi ukuthi emagama abo ekuthwasa kuthiwa bomahlasela bosibanibani. We know them because akusasiwo emagama lawa la shayelo umuntu kwakhulunyaliswa nedloti lakhe ngoba ngilo lelikhipha ligama lalo muntu. Seniyanikwa angithi ngoba abasakushayela ibhoboka edloti, so uyanikwa nje okay igama lakho lalana ekuthwasini se umali yavusa ligama lakho lapha so umehlo mama uyanikwa, but le gama does not have a link with your dlozi lakho because ligama lakho must have the link, which means ngilo leli dlozi lakho ngilo lekumele likhiphe ligama kusuye gobela lokumele likhiphe ligama ngekhathi ushayelwa wena. Na ushayelwa wena ngile khathi ke kumele le dloti lakho ngilo letawukhipha ligama ugobela kumele nalivuka idloti alalelisise kahle atothola naye kwekuthi lifuna yipi direction, lifuna khanjwe kanjani kule ndlela ngoba yena uyakuguide leli dloti liyayathi yona le ndlela lekumele hanjwe, kodwa yena ugobela ulapha ukuthi assiste akuguide ukuthi leli dloti lakho kumele lihambe kanjani, akwendise yonke lento leyo kuze kufika mhlambe naso uliparulwa khona seliphothulwa khona idloti lakho. Yabo, so ke lidloti umfana nomatalwa utalwa analo, kepha nje ukuthi sekushare ukuthi lesesikhathi ke le lifestyle yakhe la iphilako lo munye angazagcine mhlambe angakalithwaseli ngenxe ye lifestyle la iphilako, because i lifestyle can affect the maturity of your spirit, because uthole ukuthi the way lo phila ngayo kube nzima ukuthi lingamature idloti lakho unless nangabe li bold enough lelinye livele libe ngilo lelikhatha over ya libhokele vele libe ngilo lisheshe libonakale ukuthi hayi mina la ya, and especially kushana lokuthi selivuthwe kanganani or selifike ngoba yabona like nangabe mhlambe mama wakho bekumele athwase wangathwasi mhlambe leli dloti solo liyaqhubeka kunalaba labangalithwaseli manje selilakuwe hayi livama ukuthola ukuthi alisadli inkobe zamuntu. By that time too angry and they want things to happen now, and now a person can even die. If it calls for someone to die, that can happen. Now overturn cars when they get in in you see good now akudlalwa manje leli dlozi lena manje selifuna ukuthi kuyosetshenzwa manje sekumele kongenwa manje ephehlweni lilambile because lifuna ukudla kwalo because it's a food of the spirit. Lifuna kudla impande yalo leli dlozi le, and manje uthola ukuthi you get into ephehlweni still alitholi lempande yalo uzophuma ephehlweni udliswa emagobongo la ngekho right udliswa emagobongo la wrong still libe hungry dlozi athi kumuntu ke solo ngaye ephehlweni mine nemaphupho awasekho before ngiye ephehlweni ngangiphupha nganginembono mara ever since I come back ephehlweni all now is lost. I don't have dream, I don't have anything because the lidlozi was not given the right food. Yeah.
Thokoza Mkhulu. We're speaking of la magama emadloti.
Yeah.
Then, it's possible to have a magama eldoti. Madloti ayaphuma madloti abe mbadlwana. Bhoboke eldoti namhla bhoboke lelinye lidloti. So madloti abe mbadlwana so uba nemakhanza sone magama lambadlwana. That is possible. Ngiyathathisa ke.
Kodwa emadloti noma ungaba nawo vele emadloti awuvami ukuthi umuntu abe nedloti leliwa. Lesikhathi ukuthi idloti lelinye libuya coming from the mother side, the other one comes from the party. There will be a principal one within you. There will be that one that it's more principal and ngilo kakhulu igama that you use, the one daily principal. And I don't know if you get me. You see, there will become yeah, but there will be that one that is dominant within you. Within you that dominates you among the majors. And like obviously you will have umguni, maybe you have got umdawe, and umdawe will want to dominate umguni. And at the end of the day, you use igama lawo because wona comes as a dominator among the majors akho lawala khona. So there will be one that dominates. Angaba khona amagama la ngaphuma nababuza nakabhobokile emadlozi, but there is that one that will be a dominate, and igobela will know which is the dominating factor among emadloti akho. Yiliphi idloti leli dominator la kula madlozi lawa la phethe.
Thokoza ke. So lapha la kufikwa khona ephehlweni wasithi bantwana bayangeniswa kuyagatshekwa. Emadloti akaphumi emadloti bayangeniswa abantwana bayashayelwa banikwe amagama asibabanikete amagama se ayaphuma ke emadloti sokuchubeka umsolo bahlede ephehlweni se liyaphuma ke idloti liyabhoboka. Usebenziswa liphi ke igama? Usebenzisa igama lala mphanzeni noma ufuthe ubuyele sebenzisa igama ledloti?
Kumele kusetshenziswe igama lelidloti lakho lelibhobokile because see, that's the name that links you with nalelidlozi. Uma ngabe they call that name is the one that links leline link. Igama lelidlozi lase ligama lelothola ephehlweni does not have a link with lidlozi lakho. There is no connection within lidlozi lakho lelo. It's just a name. You know, a name just a general name. A general name must have a connection with your spirit. Any name must have a connection with your spirit. In a way, even if you are half dead, you know, there is a name that can be used. If let's say, those people who practice, maybe I could say witchcraft, there will be a name that they will use, a name that will connect you so that their muti will work, which means that name does connect to your spirit. So there are names that does not connect with your spirit. So even Edlozin, you need to have a name that will connect with your spirit so that you will do, you know, how would you feel when, as a person, if they call you with a name that is not yours? How will you feel? Will you be happy? Because if they call Lendlos Lako with a name that is not its own name, because Lendlos, when it comes to you, Lendlos already knows what it is. Liyazazi ukuthi lingubani lona lisuka. So nasa ufika manje sewunika another name. No, you won't be happy at all. You must definitely follow the name, the very correct name that comes from after Lidlozi Bobogile. And again, how do you twasisa a person if Lidlozi Bobogi? What guides will you have? Because Lidlozi Bobogi, so that the Lidlozi will give you a guide. Yeah, because otherwise you are going to do size 1 fits all. It's going to be size 1 fits all. Because you can have a mapochwana mhlawumbe sithi about 5 or 6 whatsoever lo now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be size 1 fits all. It doesn't mean, because these people bahlukene, it won't be size 1 fits all. So you have to listen to their spirit and know what their spirit wants from these people. When you are guided, you follow, you as Ikobel. So if it doesn't it doesn't come out, how are you going to initiate that person? That's a question, which means the process must not continue until the how are you going to continue linga Bobog?
Without la phehlweni yena asale baphothule lezi libhobogile elidodi kubo lathi khulumele.
Yeah,
la phehlweni asola qhubeka yena hambana namelo ngilabanye.
Bangena baphuma because lidlozi selibhobogile. You know, there's a person I know I was with during this week. You know, that person lidlozi like has already okay, wire a patient before, but it didn't work well. But you could see now with those daily manje, lipobogile. At any time, if you know, acting out
yeah,
little nje, we are born out with self sebenza. And I know which umanga can a patient process yake, it's gonna be quick because the guidance. Over fast, even is catalyzing a patron because this person is like where you could see good no man abeli boboga ukhuluma nalo uyaliva ukuthi hayi bedlozi leli selivuthiwe li ready now ready seliyadileka uyabona seliyalwa nokulwa hey nangidelay manje uyabona ukuthi if ungalalelwa sekuzochitheka bugayiwe yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We keep getting the same question, like it keeps coming up from the viewers. Do you need does the lot need to have matured to a certain point to your femba, or before you can go in femba? And maybe please respond to that question, Mkhulu.
No, ufemba ungayo femba noma ngabe angithi maybe they have told you which unedlos, and then you can still go your femba, and lapha ekufembeni bayokutshela even the status sedlozi lakho ukuthi selikuyiphi immaturity level yekwe ukuthi uthwasa. Though you can also feel yourself if you know lidlozi, you could feel ukuthi lidlozi linjani, and nase matured. One of the greatest sign that normally happen is to cause disaster in your lives. If you sell matured, liyaqala cause a disaster, cause some sickness. Umdawo nje normally likes to cause headache, continuous headache. Headache yakona you can go to any hospital, they will never heal that headache. You can have an endless headache, even your dreams. You see, especially if you eat kudla kwalo kahle. In the land, it will be difficult to assess yourself. It's because you don't eat the food of the spirit. You know, there are people who think things like emakobongo, you can only eat them. That's not true. Emakobongo is something, even no after a peshwen, you still do need sometimes to share kobongo, uphakamise idlozi lakho. Shaya kobongo, uthathe mahlambo akho, ugeze ngamahlambo akho, uthathe lidumane lakho, gqobise lidumane lakho la. Uqhubeke no bantu lidumane bavama ukuhlanganisa nelibovu, lidumane nelibovu kuhlukene ngithi. Yabo vama kuthatha libovu bathi lidumane, and lidumane it's more powerful than libovu. Linemsebenzi eminingi very powerful as libovu yabo. So especially if unemndawe mhlawumbe unemndawe or unenzuza, akufanele uhlukane nelidumane. Lidumane must always be there. Uma ngabe nje uthi uyophahla kufanele uligqobe la, ushaye la isikhaleni la every time, so that uba ne better connection. Nema dreams akho na everything akho kuzoqaqa kube better. You need to have those things, and when you have those things, lidlozi lakho will speak better, and you could easily see the maturity yakho ubone ukuthi now lidlozi leli liyokhuluma, and the person lo nakhona umuntu lo assista. I know most people that I assist, when I have correspondence with them, dreams and everything they tell me, you could see what I can now. It's getting matured. This person now, something must be done. And the unfortunate thing, as I said, when it comes to Inzuza, it's very rare that it can show you a place you go twice. Lamanye madloti can show you Mdawe, can show you Nguni, can show you Mara. Inzuza, it's not. The reason being, Inzuza, bantu benzuza yibo laba bebathwasa under the water. So if ingakutshengisa umuntu wakhona uma ngaba nayo angavamakiswa e-psychiatric hospital, ngoba lesi sikhathi uvama kungathi uyahlanya ufuna kuhamba nje, eve ma voice la memetako sometimes ungathi angasuka nje ahambe, nasebusuku lesi sikhathi angafuna kuvuka ahambe, ufuna kuvuka ahambe kuyephi, ufuna ke emfuleni. So but now uma angaya emfuleni, because of the system lesiphila kuyo, and my family that now they don't understand inzuza in a way ukuthi now ngaya emfuleni manje ithathwe inzuza uyahamba uzofa ngeyobuya. It's either you'll die or uyothwasa khona leni uhlale khona, uthi nasoqede kuthwasa khona le ulaphe khona leni uphilele khona leni uzufe. So nangabe ushiye abantwana sobuya kulabantwana bakho ngoba abasawati lamasiko lekumele endiwe. The other thing that I want to mention, kunebantu laba labathi bona bayathi thwasisa bona.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, and it's a very controversial one as well. I think my take on it, I'm just going to put it out there. My take on it is that I don't believe that it is not possible, because I'll just come back to me. I believe that my Twasa process started long before ngibuye lana, long before ngati ukuthi delidlodi yini, and I went in the direction of the church. So now I was looking at prophecy, because that is how I could understand it, that the things that are happening to me is just the gift of prophecy. I'm able to see things, and I'm able to learn things. And the only way I could make sense of it was through the church, because that is how I had been brought up. But I know that the process started way before that. When now sitting down and reflecting, I know I can actually pinpoint that this is actually when this was happening in my life, this is what was going on. That's things that I should have known. So that I do not doubt at all that the Lord can twasisa you, or can start working in you and showing you things way before you get to a patron. So you don't actually need to get to a patron to actually be able to operate in part of the gift. So but I don't know. What I have an issue with is then when you are operating in that space where you are not initiated, you have not it has not even been about the song at that point. You may know that you love music, the drums may do things to you, and but you don't understand what it is. So, but when you're operating at that point, can you then claim to be a sangom? Because it does. I'm not going to say. I can't say that you are. We're not. No one can dispute the fact that you have a gift, and that you a gift of healing, and that you are actually guided on how to heal. But what then are you? It's the name. You are an indigenous healer, yes, but are you a sangoma? I think that is where, for me, that is always where the point of departure is. That what are you then called? It doesn't. We don't have to label it. But it's now when it comes to wanting to belong to a fraternity that you have not undergone the initiation process to be a part of, that is where now the issue comes in, as far as I am concerned.
Yeah, when I like it, maybe, but even if you are going to be together, you will still need the assistant of a mentor in one way or another. Because even those people who used to twasa underwater, when they come underwater, they still have to have ukobela who will help them. Doesn't mean because they've been underwater, nababuya, then they just go and establish themselves. No, they still need to have ukobela to take them to a certain steps. Noma angabuya ayigaqile inyoka ayibulele, but kunema ukobela will still be very important kule journey yakhe. Umuntu vele uthwasiswa lidlodi lakhe, but still i-guidance yakobela will be very important, ngoba even nekubuyiswa yobuyiswa ekhaya wenziwe kuningi lokudingekako ukuthi you need a bokobela. You will definitely need ukobela. You can't say uhleli wedwana lapha and say wena ngisithwasisile ngicedile ngenze kunalaba kushoko lokho. Ngive umuntu asangifonela, hey Mkhulu, hey kunento lenjena, ngithi mina akakufundisanga yini igobela. Hayi ngasithwasisa mina. How? But manje so you need the assistant yalento le. Yebo mina lento lena ngiyazi nekuthena njani. Ngoba the spirit cannot show you everything. You will still need in one way or another a mentor. You like it or not. Doesn't matter how powerful is your spirit, but a mentor you will need, because the mentor will also listen to the spirit that you have. It's not a good thing the mentor will come and overrule your spirit. No, the mentor won't overrule your spirit. It will be still because no matter how much, but you will definitely need to have a mentor to guide you, to lead you. There are so many things, you know, Koko, there are so many things. Do all those things by yourself. How could you do iparula yourself, and do all those things? You need someone, even no matter ekaya, you still need a mentor there who will take you there ekaya. So you can pass and become by yourself. Hi. Most of those people, they will even never pin the baby by trouble. Someone how most one is so fun good twasis. Say it's a fan of so fun twasis and over. I think Tangilema ingredient and Flawaka Mutilonguti, Maja Quaganjani, Ushanganiswaganjan. How? Ukobela wakoge. I in twasiling it twasile mean.
It's also cool. I guess we have the social media now. We're teaching and we speak about the the meaty and the things, the requirements, and so people get up and go and buy those things. Okay, and you get up, you go get those stuff, then you get the things for yourself, and and the possibility as well is that mawufika Faraday lo muntu lokuthengisela uyabuta ukhuluma ngegama kuthi ufuna ini bayakuniketa. One, you have no ways of knowing ukuthi that is actually the thing that they are giving you is what you are actually asking for, but uyathatha uyahamba. So but you can also get instructions from them. Oh, look, this is how you use this, and this is how you use this. This is what you do with the tsunami, and so Baba, people are also, it's this what we do make it easy as well for people to say then they have to assist at themselves because they have listened to the teachings, they have witnessed Tindwaso Leaping 20 already, and they think they actually have an understanding. They have Googled so many other things and they have an understanding of what the process entails. But Abayati, without taking into account the spirituality of it, because there's the things that you can get from the Muti, but there's a whole spiritual element to it as well, that you are not, that is not in any manual, for instance. That is why you are led to a particular kobela, for instance, because there are so many kobelas, but when you are led to this particular kobela, it's because of the spirituality, it's because of the things that need to be done for you, because it's a process that anyone can do. It's become so uniform. We can get up tomorrow, learn this Salana, and you do what you need to do. But it's the whole spiritual element of it that is what I think would make people seek a mentor. That's what you need the mentor for. That's what you need the guidance for, to be able to make sure that things are done right for you in the way that they're supposed to be done. But also, like Mkhulu says, if you're not mawufika and kulalelwa kobela and akulalelwa leli dloti lakho, then you should know that you are in trouble. That is when you know that, and that is where you actually now need to be the relationship between you and your kobela, to make sure that your kobela actually has some kind of respect for leli dloti lakho. Because if the kobela is going ahead and you have to assist nge manual yaki, then there's no respect for leli dloti. So that is you can actually then to assist yourself. You can go to Faraday, learn what, and Google and listen to these teachings and do the mixtures for yourself. Then now that excludes the if the kobela is not listening and following your Loti instructions, then the spirituality of it is now no longer there. Say it's textbook.
Yeah, no, you know, as I've said, yeah, well, I've made a good example of as a person who have gone under the water or twice, but spend some time. You know, we are talking of a dynamic situation where a person has been underwater and spent times there. You know, underwater, one day we will talk about that thing when we talk maybe in detail about Inzosa, you see, about what normally happens.
Yes, when we're going to the topic,
when we talk about the spirit, when we talk about the spirit, you see, underwater, it's an extreme, you know, a person who comes underwater, it's taken as the inyanga, but now, even that particular person, after coming from water, will still need kobela. So how about a person who is not even underwater, who is just here, and then say, I don't need kobela, I will do things on my own. If a person who comes from underwater will still need to go to kobela, who understand Inzusa, how about a person who is not even underwater, then come and say, I'll do all things myself? Because that person has been initiated underwater. But still there are certain rituals that the person you cannot do. It comes back. forget ukuthi inyanga ayizelaphi. Kunezinto zenze wena. You need other inyanga to help you to finish that certain process. That's why it's necessary that it inyanga ayizelaphi. You cannot uzithwasise fully completely wena. Inyanga ayizelaphi. Kufuna ukuthi you will need a mentor. You will need ukobela in one way or another, because there are certain rituals that you need ukobela. And that's why Solanda inzuza emanzini. Angeke uhambe uyiwana emanzini uzenze yonke lema process ungene ubuye ungene uze, you can't. You need someone. You know what I mean? I know powerful inyanga leti powerful. They will still at other stage go to another inyanga. Even now, I will check some other things, because they understand there are things you can do yourself, but there are things that you will need another one to help you. Same, even you cannot do a full complete initiation without the assistance of inyanga. As I've mentioned, that those who have been underwater, they themselves, when they come underwater, they still need to be attended by Bokobela who understand Inzuza to take them through a certain process. Though it's going to be a short process, but it will be like Gulparula doing some final things, certain guidance, but the who has just dreamed, only dream, who has got only dream, and then say, I don't need anyone, but the person has got only dreams. That's it. You will need, after all, I say Ukuthwasa, it's a continuous process. Even when you are still at your home, your spirit will still help you with a process, because I say it's a journey that never ends. Even when we are still at home, you will still, your spirit will still be teaching you things. Your spirit will still guiding you. Your spirit will still be, you'll still be learning in it, especially if you are feeding your spirit very well, and then your spirit will be able to take you still from one level to another beyond what the Kobela has taught you. You will finally know things which your Kobela has not even taught you. You know, I sometimes I would come to my grandfather and tell him things that he has not taught me, and he will ask me, how did you know how to mix this thing, this? How do you know now how to do this? But no, it comes to me. Even now, I've got so many things which I wish, if he was still alive, I will tell him that now I have learned this. The Spirit has taught me this. Now I've mastered this and this and this and this.
Thokozan.
Okay, Thokozan.